The Valerian research facility was a marvel of galactic engineering, gleaming, sterile and silent. Its corridors hummed with the barely perceptible thrum of pure, unadulterated logic. Every surface was polished to a mirror sheen, every angle mathematically perfect. The Valerian hegemony, our celestial friends from a previous rather baffling human encounter, prided themselves on their absolute precision. Their technology was designed for flawless operation, for elegant solutions, for a universe that behaved exactly as predicted by their complex equations. Deep within this temple of perfection was Dr. Aris Thorne. Not a guest, not really a prisoner, but definitely contained. After the whole Martian dust farm incident, the Valerians had become intensely fascinated by humanity's biological efficiency paradox. They'd urgently requested for extended study Dr. Thorne, who, despite missing his crew and the earthy smells of his Martian vegetable patch, found himself endlessly prodded, scanned, and logically analyzed. He spent his days watering the 2 small, stubbornly green potted plants he'd managed to smuggle in, murmuring encouragements to their leaves, much to the silent bewilderment of his Valerian observers. He desperately missed the comforting clang of Wrench's tools and Lena's optimistic chatter. He found the Valerians' rigid adherence to logic utterly draining. Sometimes, he'd once tried to explain to a blank-faced Valerian drone, "The most illogical path is the most alive." The drone had simply emitted a perplexed whir. The cosmic calm of the facility shattered with a high-pitched, insistent shriek. Alarms blared, their perfect harmonic tone suddenly discordant, signaling a critical breach. Valerian scientists, sleek beings of crystalline form and pure energy, zipped through the corridors, their normally placid light patterns flickering with distress. At the heart of the facility lay the antimatter energy core, the pristine heart of Valerian power. But something had gone catastrophically wrong. A hairline fracture, an infinitesimal flaw in a system designed for infinity, had appeared, and from it, a tiny, shimmering void pulsed outward. It was an antimatter leak, not a sudden explosion, but a slow, insatiable hunger. The void expanded, slowly but inexorably, devouring the very fabric of reality. The polished floor, the humming conduits, even the very air shimmered and vanished, as if it had never existed. It was small, no bigger than Aris's fist, but its potential was absolute annihilation. If unchecked, it would consume the entire facility, then the planet, and potentially cascade outwards, leaving a silent, empty scar across the galaxy. Lead scientist Xylar, a particularly rigid and esteemed Valerian, projected the leak's trajectory onto a holographic display. Error, impossible leak signature, RECALIBRATING, a disembodied voice from the facility's central AI intoned again and again. Xylar's light form pulsed with increasing frustration. This violates all known containment parameters. Our Class Alpha energy fields are designed for stable, predictable breaches. This is chaotic. It expands without logical pattern. Other Valerians chittered in distress, their internal calculations returning only one outcome: guaranteed disintegration within 4.7 Valerian cycles, roughly 3 Earth hours. Aris watched the holographic projection from his observation chamber, his own meager potted plants seeming to wilt in the face of such pure destruction. He quickly grasped the Valerians' fatal flaw. Their perfection was their undoing. They had engineered for every known variable, every logical disaster. But this leak was illogical, a tiny, unpredictable cancer. Their advanced containment fields, designed to perfectly match and neutralize known energy signatures, were useless against something that didn't fit their algorithms. His gaze drifted around the sterile Valerian lab, desperately searching for anything that screamed imperfection. His eyes snagged on a dusty, overlooked corner. There, amidst discarded prototypes of hyper-advanced analytical tools, sat a relic of a bygone era, or perhaps a singular moment of Valerian whimsy, an old, dented, human-style steel coffee pot. Its double-walled construction, its vacuum seal, an antique, almost comical design in this context. Aris's mind, trained in the beautiful chaos of Jugad, saw not a discarded relic, but a solution. "I need that coffee pot," Aris shouted, his voice echoing in the alarm-filled chamber. Lead scientist Xylar, whose crystalline form was now flickering with alarming irregularity, zoomed towards Aris. "Dr. Thorne, this is no time for primitive beverage apparatuses. Our calculations show 2.8 cycles until total energy cascade." "It's not for coffee, Xylar, it's for containment," Aris insisted, pointing at the shimmering, expanding void. "Your systems are designed for perfection, but this leak is imperfect. You need something simple. Something dumb." Xylar's crystalline form shuddered. "Dumb is illogical. Perfection is efficiency. Perfection is also predictable," Aris retorted. "That antimatter isn't behaving by your rules, is it? Now I need basic electrical tape and some heat-resistant insulation. And hurry, before your perfect facility becomes perfectly vaporized." Xylar, utterly flummoxed, gestured for a subordinate to retrieve the requested items. The Valerians returned, holding up rolls of standard human electrical tape with expressions of profound disgust. "Dr. Thorne, this electrical tape is composed of adhesive organic fibers. Its structural integrity is highly suspect." A Valerian droned, its voice tinged with revulsion. Another presented a bundle of old, discarded Valerian uniform fabric. "And this heat-resistant insulation is merely deactivated textile waste. Its thermal transference is uncontrolled." "Perfect," Aris beamed, snatching the materials. "Exactly what I need for a real-world, messy problem." He grabbed the dented steel coffee pot. The antimatter leak, now visibly larger and radiating an unsettling hum, seemed to mock their high-tech failures. Aris, muttering to himself and the coffee pot, began to improvise. He wasn't thinking about elegant equations. He was thinking about the dirt-stained ingenuity of the Martian dust farm. He started by wrapping the base of the coffee pot with the deactivated textile waste, layering it thick. The Valerian scientists watched, their optical sensors widening in disbelief. "He is utilizing waste as a structural component," Xylar exclaimed, his internal logic processing unit struggling. "This violates Protocol Gamma-7 regarding material purity." Aris then grabbed the electrical tape. He began to wrap it around the coffee pot with frantic energy, securing the insulation. The tape, designed for simple electrical repairs, proved maddeningly sticky in his gloved hands. He accidentally got a long strand stuck to his forehead, pulling it off with a frustrated grunt. Another piece snagged on his sleeve. The Valerians observed with silent horror, as their guest researcher, seemingly self-contaminated with primitive adhesives. "The human is exhibiting unpredictable manual dexterity and imprecise material application," a Valerian observed, its voice tight with distress. Finally, Aris positioned the now insulated coffee pot. He carefully, painstakingly, maneuvered the opening directly over the expanding antimatter leak. The shimmering void seemed to resist, pushing back with an ethereal force. Sweat beaded on Aris's brow. "Come on, you little devil," he grumbled, coaxing it. With a final delicate nudge, he sealed the gap. A tense silence fell. The alarms, still blaring, suddenly seemed deafeningly loud. The shimmering void of the antimatter leak was gone. It was contained within the old, dented steel coffee pot. A faint, unsettling shimmer visible through the pot's small glass viewing window. The antimatter pulsed harmlessly inside, held at bay by a simple vacuum seal, some discarded fabric, and a whole lot of electrical tape. The facility's central AI, after a moment of stunned silence, updated its status. Antimatter containment stabilized. Source: unclassified. Logic error. RECALIBRATING, all physics models. The Valerian scientists were utterly dumbfounded. Lead scientist Xylar's crystalline form actually flickered out for a split second, then came back, glowing, with an unprecedented intensity of internal conflict. "The detritus contained the annihilation," he stammered, repeating the words like a broken record. "A primitive container succeeded where our class alpha fields failed." His internal logical processors were in complete meltdown. Aris, wiping his brow with the back of his hand, grinned, a long piece of electrical tape still dangling from his hair. Sometimes, Zylar, the simplest solution is the one your fancy equations don't predict. You Valerians plan for perfection, but we humans, we plan for when things go spectacularly, unbelievably wrong. The Valerians, after several moments of intense, rapid calculations, came to a startling conclusion. They quickly formulated a new, baffling law of physics. It appeared on the main screen, shimmering in Valerian script, the Aris-Thorne improvised efficiency theorem. When confronted with illogical chaos, the application of seemingly illogical, repurposed materials can achieve containment results inversely proportional to expected technological capability. Below it, a crude, shimmering diagram of a coffee pot glowed. The success of the coffee pot containment sent logical ripples through the Valerian hegemony. While the higher-ups were still struggling to reconcile primitive detritus with galactic salvation, lead scientist Zylar, in a surprising display of adaptability, made an unprecedented decision. Dr. Thorne, Zylar stated, his light form still pulsing with a faint agitated glow, your unique problem-solving anomaly has been statistically validated. We, the Valerian hegemony, formally appoint you as our Chief of Improvised Engineering. Aris blinked. Chief of what now? You will oversee the integration of your Jugaad methodologies into our established protocols, Zylar clarified, though the concept clearly pained him. You will train our engineers to think outside predictable parameters. Aris grinned. This was better than talking to potted plants all day. His first act as Chief of Improvised Engineering was to establish what he fondly called Jugaad workshops. He tried to teach the Valerian engineers about creative chaos, making do, and the sheer joy of transforming junk into solutions. The Valerians, with their precise appendages, struggled to grasp the concept of eyeballing it, or giving it a good whack. Observe, Aris demonstrated, trying to open a stubborn access panel with a Valerian issue multi-tool. It refused to budge. Aris then pulled out a small, human-made hammer that he'd somehow acquired. Sometimes, you just need a bit of kinetic persuasion. He gave the panel a firm thwack. It popped open. The Valerians recoiled. Dr. Thorne, that is an unrefined kinetic impact tool. Its application generates unpredictable force vectors. Zylar exclaimed, horrified. Exactly, Aris beamed. He then tried to teach a Valerian engineer how to apply electrical tape. The engineer, with its perfectly articulated digits, meticulously smoothed out every crease, taking minutes to apply a single strip. Aris sighed. No, you gotta just slap it on. Like this. He demonstrated, getting half the roll stuck to his own hand. The Valerian simply whirred, unable to compute such inefficiency. Aris quickly realized he needed more than just a title. He needed help. Commander, he addressed Zylar, to truly optimize Valerian systems, I require more unconventional thinkers, specifically, my old crew. And so, weeks later, the Starhopper 7, repaired and now acting as a shuttle service, arrived at the Valerian research facility, carrying the slightly bewildered faces of Commander Jax, Engineer Wrench Riley, and Dr. Lena Petrova. The Valerians were, once again, utterly flummoxed. Jax, ever stoic, merely nodded at the gleaming alien architecture, while Wrench's eyes immediately began to dart around, clearly cataloguing every piece of Valerian tech for spare parts. Look at that, Sparky Jr., he whispered to his multi-tool, eyeing a massive energy conduit. Looks like they got some real projects for us now. Lena, meanwhile, was already bending down trying to classify an unusual crystalline formation on the station wall. The humans quickly set up a small Earth culture hub within the pristine facility. Music, a concept previously categorized by Valerians as inefficient auditory patterns, now filled a corner of a recreation module. Wrench, much to the Valerians' enduring bafflement, started installing a repurposed cargo bay door into a, quote, workshop with proper ventilation. Aris proudly brewed Earth coffee in the now famous containment pot, sharing it with the curious Valerians. Zylar took a hesitant sip, his light form flickering. This coffee. It is chemically complex. It induces a rapid cerebral stimulation and a mild emotional response. warmth. Through shared projects, Valerian logical deductions, and a steady stream of human banter, true friendship began to blossom. The Valerians, though still prone to logical overloads, started to appreciate human emotion, humor, and their unique knack for turning chaos into creation. Lena taught them about the beauty of geological imperfections. Jack showed them that leadership wasn't just about perfect calculations, but about trust. And Wrench, with his trusty lucky spanner, showed them the raw power of a well-placed thwack and the art of turning discarded components into functional, if slightly wobbly, solutions. One Valerian, observing Wrench fixing a complex circuit with a bent paperclip and electrical tape, actually giggled, a sound previously thought to be an error in its vocal modulator. Humans brought the Valerians something their rigid logic had never allowed: the ability to adapt, to innovate not just through perfect design, but through messy, unpredictable necessity. Their cultures, once impossibly distant, began to intertwine. The peaceful hum of the Valerian research facility, now occasionally punctuated by Wrench's hammering or the faint scent of Aris's coffee, was abruptly shattered, not by an internal malfunction this time, but by a chilling, external broadcast. A cold, resonant voice, devoid of emotion, filled the Valerian comms channels. "This is the Xylosian ascendancy. Surrender your territory and technology. Resistance is illogical. Assimilation is inevitable." A new, aggressive and highly advanced alien empire, the Xylosians, had arrived. Their ships were angular, dark behemoths that blotted out distant stars, their energy signatures immense and perfectly controlled. Their technology was based on a ruthless efficiency, driven by sophisticated energy shields and highly precise, predictive targeting systems. The Xylosians were masters of cosmic chess, calculating every move, anticipating every defense. Their strategy relied on detecting and countering any known energy signature or logical attack pattern. The Valerians, despite their own impressive technological prowess, found themselves on the back foot. Their elegant, predictable defense systems, designed for logical engagement, were being systematically dismantled by the equally logical and predictable offense of the Xylosians. It was a war of perfect algorithms, where one simply had more refined calculations. Valerian energy shields meant to deflect were pinpointed and overwhelmed. Their precise targeting systems found their shots anticipated and dodged by the Xylosians' pre-calculated evasions. Lead scientist Xylar, his crystalline form now vibrating with distress, projected the grim battle data onto the central holotable. Valerian losses were mounting. "Our logic dictates defeat," Xylar announced, his voice modulator emitting sharp, frustrated clicks. "We have calculated every possible defense. They have calculated every possible counter. Their predictive algorithms are superior. There is no logical path to victory." The other Valerians, usually calm in the face of data, now flickered with desperation. Commander Jax, observing the tactical display, saw the same bleak reality. The Valerians were too predictable, too perfect in their combat. Their very elegance was their weakness. Lena stood beside him, her brow furrowed. "Their shields are designed to deflect precise energy. If it's not precise, it's noise to them." Aris, who had been studying the Xylosian energy readings with a strange glint in his eye, nodded. "Exactly, Lena. They've built their entire defense on anticipating what they expect. What they expect is logic, precision and efficiency. They don't expect us." Wrench Riley, ever the pragmatist, wiped grease from his hands. "So you're saying their fancy space shields don't know how to handle something that's just a bit of a mess? Like a wire I patched up with gum and a prayer." He grinned, his eyes lighting up. "Sparky Jr., I think it's time for some real engineering." He gripped his lucky spanner tightly, a flicker of mischievous determination in his gaze. The humans looked at each other, a shared, wild idea sparking in their eyes. They had seen the limits of pure logic before, they had lived them, and they had a coffee pot to prove it. "They understand logic," Aris stated, looking at the Xylosian battle formation on the Valerian holotable. "But they don't understand chaos." Commander Jax nodded grimly. We give them chaos." The Valerians watched in bewildered fascination as the humans, now truly in their element, set about preparing their defense. Wrench Riley was a blur of motion, his lucky spanner flying. He called his creations discombobulators, repurposed Valerian comms arrays that, instead of sending precise signals, were rewired to emit deliberately irregular, screeching bursts of static and energy. "These won't be detected as an attack," Wrench cackled. "They'll be detected as a really bad headache that collapses shields." Lena Petrova, with Aris's guidance, crafted stealth scrappers. These were small, drone-like projectiles fashioned from salvaged ship hull plating and even old Valerian uniform fabric, powered by crude, chemically unstable reactions. "Their energy signature will be so low and erratic, the Xylosians won't even register them as technology," Lena explained, smirking. "They'll think it's space debris, with a bad case of indigestion." These drones were designed to home in on specific, but seemingly random, frequency patterns within Xylosian ships, jamming their internal systems from the inside out. Aris's personal touch was the randomized chaos shield. Instead of a consistent energy barrier, he designed a system that deliberately generated unpredictable, constantly shifting energy fields. "They'll try to predict where our shields will be, but they won't. It'll be like trying to hit a ghost," he explained to a wide-eyed Xylar. The Valerian chief scientist just pulsed, unable to logically categorize such a defense. As the next wave of Xylosian ships bore down on the Valerian lines, the humans launched their Jugade offensive. The battle was, for the Xylosians, a descent into pure madness. Their advanced sensors, designed for mathematical perfection, screamed in protest. Incoming discombobulators were registered as inexplicable bursts of pure noise, or unidentifiable atmospheric disturbances, even as they caused Xylosian shields to sputter and collapse with jarring, irregular impacts. Xylosian commanders bellowed, "What are these readings? The enemy ships are radiating nonsense. Our shields are collapsing from random static." Then came the stealth scrappers. These crude-looking drones flitted past Xylosian detection grids as if they didn't exist. Made of literal trash, their signatures were so primitive that the Xylosian systems filtered them out as irrelevant clutter. They slammed into critical points, causing internal explosions and system failures. "Our internal systems are reporting fabric-based impactors?" A Xylosian tactical officer shrieked as one of Wrench's patched-up drones brought down a main power conduit. And the Valerian ships under the randomized chaos shield became untouchable phantoms. Xylosian targeting systems, honed for precision, couldn't get a lock. Their predictive algorithms returned only gibberish. Shots went wide, slamming into empty space as the Valerian shields shimmered into existence a millisecond too late, or too early for the Xylosian calculations. "They are unpredictably chaotic," a Xylosian general roared, his logical mind unraveling. "This is a violation of cosmic order." The tide of the battle turned with bewildering speed. The Xylosians, paralyzed by the inability to predict or comprehend their enemy, crumbled. Their perfect logic became their downfall against the beautiful, messy, and utterly unpredictable chaos of human ingenuity. The aftermath and a new galactic order. The Xylosians were routed, their pristine fleet scattering in disarray, their commanders' logical cores utterly shattered. The Valerians, who had been on the brink of defeat, now stood victorious, their ships humming not with battle damage, but with the strange, vibrant hum of human-engineered Jugad systems. Lead scientist Xylar approached Aris, his crystalline form now pulsing with a profound, almost reverent light. "Dr. Thorne," he began, "your methodologies, they have saved a hegemony. Our logic, while perfect, was incomplete." Aris grinned, a smudge of grease on his cheek. "Sometimes, Xylar, you just gotta throw out the textbook and trust your gut." The Valerians, now with a deep and abiding respect for human Jugad and illogical efficiency, fully embraced humanity as invaluable allies. Aris, Jax, Wrench and Lena became legendary figures across the galaxy, forever known as the Chaos Engineers. Humans were no longer just observers or hostages. They were now officially part of the Valerian hegemonies, or perhaps a new, broader alliance built on their insights, highest ranks, bringing their unique brand of problem-solving to countless galactic challenges. The original coffee pot, the improbable savior, was enshrined in the Valerian Hall of Unconventional Achievements, polished to a gleam, a permanent monument to the day a piece of human detritus saved a civilization. In the vast, logical expanse of the galaxy, a small, unpredictable species had proven that sometimes the most powerful force isn't the one with the most advanced calculations, but the one that knows how to make something out of nothing, to thrive in the face of the illogical, and to win with a well-aimed potato, or in this case, a coffee pot. The universe had just gotten a whole lot messier and infinitely more interesting.